And today, Tuesday, my goodness, what a great week this is turning out to be.
Are you really Glenn Haussman?
I am actually a facsimile of Glenn Haussman. We'll find out where the real Glenn Haussman is right after this.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Goodness gracious, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. Anthony Melchiori is right over there. I, of course, am Glenn Haussman. Anthony, so great to see you, my friend. How are you today?
It's great to be seen, my brother.
I know. It must be absolutely an honor to be seen by me with my beautiful glasses.
So how are you, my friend? How's everything?
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. Things are going great. It's a little cool outside, a little bit cooler than I'd like. I'm really looking forward to having Memorial Day weekend, celebrating all of those folks who gave their lives for America, thinking about that, thinking about how fortunate I have been to have made it through this pandemic. Might be even having a couple of friends over this weekend to have a little barbecue and kind of celebrate positivity moving forward. How about yourself?
I like that.
Successful birthday, my friend?
Today's weather. Yeah, birthday went well. Today's weather is shorts and a sweatshirt weather, which I absolutely love.
I too. I did it yesterday. It started to cool off, so I went for a hike in the woods and stuff like that. I had my shorts on. I had my sweatshirt on. And I felt really good about that, as opposed to those people who choose to wear shorts when it's like 15 degrees out. I don't understand that.
I'm sorry. In my neighborhood, we put on shorts 1st of April, middle of March, 1st of April, and we don't take our shorts off until about November 15th. Maybe sometimes December 1st. So we go from flip-flops and shorts and a sweatshirt to a bathing suit, no shirt until about September, and then it's back to flip-flops, bathing suit, and a sweatshirt.
Yeah, perfect. I love that look. Oh my goodness, it looks like producer Professor Suzanne Bagnara was quoted as an expert in Wallet Hub this week for Memorial Day. So go be sure to Google that and check out that article. And Anthony, I got what I got right over here. I got our basket from Ecotech because these guys are freaking awesome. They've got different colors. They've got white. They've got black. They've got starter kits in order to do it. But what you really want to do, why you really want to have Ecotech, Anthony,
right?
As events are coming back, you want an easy way in order to be able to dispose of this garbage. You can throw this thing right out and know you're doing the right thing for the environment at all the time. And in fact, it takes over 1,500 of these things when it comes to carbon emissions in order to create one plastic basket. You don't want to have to clean those things. You don't want to have to pay for the labor to do that over and over again. No, that's why you're going to go to eco-techwaste.com. Get the Tellurian collection right here. Tell them No Vacancy sent to you and get 10% off. Anthony, one of the things you've been doing is you accuse me of not doing enough shameless self-promotion for the adapter. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have on author Seanwerker, who I partnered with on this particular project, to join us. Talk a little bit about adapting in the marketplace, some of the things that we're seeing, and the thought process that we go through when we're thinking about gutsy genius thinkers and how people are making big changes. Sean, great to see you, my friend.
Hey, gentlemen, it's good to see you. I'm still trying to recover from thinking of, Anthony in shorts and sweatshirts and flip-flops for 6 months. Do you wear anything else? I mean, it's a little disturbing, actually.
Well, underwear?
I'm not going there. I'm from the west of Ireland. It might just, really destroy my mind.
Well, you know what? Let's not talk about my wardrobe. I got a very easy question for you. Ready? Because you wrote a book called The Adapter, so we're going to adapt, right? In the post pandemic. So very easy question. You're highly qualified to answer this question. What are the long-term effects on our mental health after the pandemic? Go ahead. I'll give you an hour.
Is that an hour? I think, in the show, you guys have been talking a lot about this, and there's all sorts of different categories. I mean, you've got the business categories, you've got the personal categories, and then you've got the mental health of managers. And I think one of the biggest topics that should be front and center is how are managers adapting and changing their management style to either a hybrid, we're moving from virtual to hybrid, and then managing teams that some are work from home, some are work from work. And that's, that's a big stress point, just coming out of a pandemic and then trying to manage teams and their needs. And I think you've seen some of those examples where the GM of the CEO of GM came out and said, just, make your own decisions, make the appropriate decision as to how you work. And I think some of this vagueness is going to be very tough on line managers and their mental well-being.
Yeah, Sean, I got to tell you, I'm seeing this over and over and over again. There's a real push-pull coming in with the relationships between the business owners and the employees when it comes to this hybridization and whether or not they're going to go to the workplace. One of the things that I'm seeing people are complaining about is being given basically no notice in order to come back to work full time, not thinking about some of the changes that people have made in their lives in order to just continue working at all. How do you see it?
Well, when you look at many of the people we've now interviewed, either our own opinions on Take 5 on the adapters.net, all the interviews you've all done. And I know, Anthony, I think last week you went on an absolute tirade about the labor shortage that's out there. Yeah. And rightly so. But all of that compression on mindfulness and finding your center point as a manager is tough, not alone on the managers, but on the teams. To your point, Glenn, short term, come back to work. This is a cultural minefield for everybody.
Right.
So I think one of the big things we focused on is how you're going to communicate that. And most leaders are probably learning how to be digitally capable to communicate. One of the recommendations and one of the conversations Glenn and I just recently had was, how are you going to communicate frequently in a way that people can connect with as to coming back, how you're feeling, where your coworkers are, how you get coordinated? And I think when you think about hospitality, it's the challenge in, let's say, a hotel where the accounting department, the account management, the sales teams are all working from home. And how do you build that sense of culture? Big problem for a GM to build culture when it's split. So there's a burden on the frontline operations leaders that are running buildings that we need to really help and support and offer some ideas. I know you have an opinion on that, Anthony. I'm sure you do.
I have no opinions. If that was a tirade last week, you don't want to see my tirades.
Oh, it's right.
Much more fun.
You just said the word fun. I just think keeping it fun. In the morning, I always do a stand-up. So make sure the stand-ups are always happening. In the stand-up, make sure it's fun every day. I find texting a lot more fun, a lot easier. Instead of emails, having to respond to these big, stupid emails. I like just quick texting. Everybody knows me, knows I just like quick texting. I like quick meetings. And just keep it fun and simple. But those meetings in the morning are so important, or at the end of the day, so important.
My question for you, Anthony, is that those stand-ups are no longer coherent in a way, and they're collective because lots of the teams are at home. So how do you
I disagree 1,000%.
Yeah, hold on. How do you
is
actually
he yelling at me? First of all, he interrupts me, then he yells at me. Get him off.
Yeah, it's great.
That's why Sean and I get along so.
He's having a fight with me. He's having a fight with me, and I'm not even participating.
All right, everybody, buy the book right now at Amazon.com. That's the adapters. Go ahead, Sean.
So my question for you, Anthony.
It's 100% relevant. Go ahead. What's the question?
My question for you is how do you have a virtual or hybrid stand-up with the teammates that are now working virtually as well as the ones that are physically in the room?
It's critical.
On any given morning. How do you do that?
It's critical. You do it a couple of ways, right? You do it one with a camera in the office that we're all standing at, or everybody stays at their desk and goes onto a Zoom, and everybody else stays on a Zoom from home. I think that is critical because Absolutely. I need to see the sales manager. I need to see where are you going this week? What are you doing this week? I want to know if I'm a director of housekeeper, if I'm a front office manager. I want to know where all the people who are not in my hotel, what are they doing? Because I have to work every day and I have to show up every day and you don't. So I want to see how hard you're working. I want to see what you're doing. And I think that keeps it collective. And then also celebrating birthdays, celebrating anniversaries, celebrating whatever, asking them to come in, once or twice a week. It is so critically important for a general manager to do that nowadays. And if they don't, it's on them. Listen, there's a lot of excuses, man. Everybody's got one, right? So there's a lot of excuses. There's no, listen, we kept the show going. We kept a lot of relationships going. It sucks to be doing it on Zoom. It sucks. We all know that. So what? So what?
So the thing I probably push back on you on a little bit, because I'm from the way, from Ireland. So all we do is push back. Is how do we get managers? How do we get?
I'm talking while you're interrupting. I apologize.
Yeah, no. So how do we get managers to shift away from being time managers to being task managers? Just because people aren't in front of you, you can trust them.
Well,
task oriented. Get it done on Monday.
Listen, you know as well as I do. You have to hire leaders, right? You can't have a general manager who's not a born leader or hasn't developed into a leader, and then all of a sudden say, well, you have to be, task, or you have to. Come on. At this point, in my opinion, it all comes down to the person that's sitting in the big boy seat or the big girl seat, and if they shouldn't be sitting there. So if I have to tell my general manager how to bring a stand-up together through Zoom and through people on, in the field, then why is that general manager there? So how you do it is you just ask people to show up and you make it fun, and you have an agenda and you have tests. Every day I do it. I have 3 standing meetings a week on 3 different projects, right? So that's 9 meetings a week, I believe it is. Okay. And every single one of those meetings, we are hysterical laughing before we start. We're all making fun of each other. We're all laughing. And then we have the meeting. And then at the end, a few of us stay on and we make more fun of each other and we laugh more. So it's up to the person that's driving the ship to make it light and to make it fun. And then also hold people accountable. And again,
going back to your question about what's changing coming out. So some of the research that we've certainly built up for the adapters.net and the Take 5s has been 56% of women right now are saying it's questionable whether they can afford to go back to work. And I know you touched on some of this last week. Totally agree with the fun and the in-present stuff. But the labor shortage is largely being driven by lack of healthcare supplied by hoteliers and other market, in restaurateurs and others. So I just want to give you an example at Chipotle. Chipotle seems to have got a pulse on it. And they were one of the first to come out and say, part of joining Chipotle, because there's a labor shortage, is you get healthcare, 401k, you get possibly childcare. There's a pathway to being a GM in 2 years with an education, and they're willing to fund that education. So I think the gauntlet has been thrown down that, yes, the fun at the properties as well, but what are the hotel groups doing that is setting the stage or even matching what some of the the big global brands in restaurants are doing to compete for labor?
You obviously stayed up last night trying to piss me off. There's 2 different questions, right? The first question is, how do you make stand-ups fun? How do you integrate people who are staying home and people that are on?
That's local level. Let's go
finish. As far as I know, this is still my show.
Hey, Glenn, this is working. You told me to do this. It's actually working.
I know. So I feel like I feel like after this, we're gonna have to conclude with a joke. An Irishman and a Jew walk into a bar.
All right, over to you.
So you diverted me from that, which I answered. So let's finish that, and then you immediately threw this question in. So it's a different question with a different answer, and the answer is, what is more important? Lowering the standards of service, which most employees are doing. I see it. I see it from my friends. I'm seeing it from hotels. I'm seeing it from restaurants. I've been experiencing it because it's like, listen, you have somebody, just send them to me. We're hiring whoever comes in the door because we have no people. So you're lowering the standards. And instead of maybe shutting down earlier or maybe limiting the number of seats or rooms or whatever, we're lowering the standards. So that's happening. Okay. So you have to make a decision. Do you want to lower your standards and just keep the revenue going? That's going to long-term affect your business. Or do you want to basically go into some more cash flow and make less money and start doing things that we should have done a long time ago? Wow, a Chipotle employee is going to get healthcare, 401k, and is going to have a pathway to a general manager in 2 years. All of a sudden, let's celebrate Chipotle and let's give them an award. You know what? They should have been effing doing that a long time ago, and most employees should have. But they didn't want to. They didn't want to lower their net income, so they didn't do that. So now that the employees are in charge, the employees are saying, you know what? Take care of us, and maybe we'll stay on your company because there's growth. So I really like the fact that they're doing it. But why are we now in a revolution and all of a sudden everybody's scared and saying, oh my God, the employees are in charge?
10 years of change in 10 months. And
But
you know,
why weren't we doing it in the beginning? I
it
always
doesn't
say
make, you know, at this point, it probably doesn't make any difference. The
it
point
does make a difference. It does make
you
a
know,
difference.
what's
Mindset.
important right now is that is the new benchmark. And we're finally getting to
No,
the
it makes a
point.
difference. It makes a difference. Let me
And
tell you why it makes a difference.
Okay, go ahead.
It makes a difference because of mindset. Okay, if you're going into this saying, well, we're here now, we just got to deal with it, instead of saying, hey, we should have been doing this a long time ago, this is acceptable, I prefer doing it this way, I prefer taking care of my employees this way, I prefer growth. So if you don't switch that mindset, people are going to be upset about it, and they're going to be resentful of it. So I think it is an important mind shift for those people that are saying, oh my God, look what we have to do to get employed. Every single person I talk to is like that. It's like, you know what, all this pay, we have all this. Yes, you have to be more efficient in your business. I always say to anytime I've run hotels or businesses, I always say, if I have to go to my employees, and because they came to me first, let me back up. If they come to me first and say, hey boss, I didn't get a review, I didn't get my bonus, I didn't get a raise, I suck as a boss. So if I'm still paying my employees $8,000 an hour, okay, shame on me. Okay. You've got to do something to build more efficiencies into your building. And again, Sean, I've seen this firsthand for 10 years where I've seen employees taken advantage of to an extreme. So I may be a little bit more emotionally tied to it because I've seen it 108 times in 48 states.
You emotional about stuff?
Well, it's not pissing me off. So
that's what makes
you know, to your
conversation, Sean.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, I think all of us on this show have run businesses, and people are the center of it, and it's a core component of any leadership obligation. I think we can spend energy worrying about what didn't happen, as opposed to we are now in a new place, not new, and it's probably a new reality. So how do we? And I think shows like this are super important. All the joking aside, that airs these comments and speaks to them so that those that are listening here can bring that back to their organizations, and whatever their mindset or their approach is, we are in a serious place where travel, tourism, and hospitality are going to be fighting for talent because some of that talent have found new jobs or whatever the circumstances are. So it is time to level the playing field and there is going to be hits to bottom lines. However, bottom lines come back when teams are engaged, products are developed, sales are made, celebrations occur when people win, market share is gained. And that is a real opportunity coming out of the pandemic that wasn't there before. And I applaud what you and Glenn are doing to air these out and to be energetic and, quite frankly, honest about what these issues are, because they're real issues that we're all helping different businesses do. And when I ran many businesses, you know, all of these opportunities were kind of, let's wait, because, you know, sometimes you need the whole herd to move. And now we got the herd moving. Right. And if we lose this momentum, shame on us.
But I just wanted to make clear that it's the acceptance, because you've run a lot of businesses.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So if you don't start with acceptance and talk about acceptance, then you're going to have resentment. That's all I was saying. So,
agreed.
So we're here now, and what do you do? Like you said, when the economy's not doing well, when you have a pandemic, we all saw the efficiencies. Unfortunately, there were a lot of Band-Aids pulled off the first month. Like, everybody goes home, nobody's getting paid, the government has to come in and save the world, right? So that's one extreme. And in a lot of cases, the hotels were saved and businesses were saved and people paid their rent, and there weren't all these foreclosures on hotels that everybody expected. I think there were I think there's a very small number of foreclosures. So people were efficient. Everybody took care of their businesses themselves, and boom, here we are, right? So if you have to increase your pay, you have to increase your healthcare, you have to do all that, there are going to be efficiencies that you have to then pay attention to. So instead of having 3 desk clerks, maybe you have 2 desk clerks. Well, if you have 2 of those desk clerks, okay, maybe you're paying them a little bit more. Maybe they're a little bit more experienced. Maybe they were assistant general managers in a limited service hotel, but now you're bringing them a full service hotel. You're paying them a little bit more, but you're getting more effort out of them. And they can do 2 or 3 things at once. Everybody's got to look at their efficiencies. Again, there's a hotel that I'm helping buy, and there's one person in the system that's making more money than the general manager. And the reason we're doing that is simply because of experience. And the general manager is okay with that. So I could kind of say, hey, that's really expensive. So let's kind of cut that. And then I can suffer for the next 6 months because I'm going to go through 2 or 3 of those people instead of buying or hiring the most efficient and the best in the market, and then deal with the ramifications of the general manager making less money and making sure he's okay with that and why. So there's a lot of decisions to be made. And I was very forceful in that decision. And because I don't want to have people that feel underpaid, and then I have to get people who aren't, efficient at their jobs and not best in market. So there's a lot of complexities to it. But the good news, to your point, Sean, is we're moving forward. The herd's moving forward. So, capitalism is great because capitalism solves a lot of problems.
Right. So, Anthony, let me jump in. And being that we talk about adapting and innovation and all of that kind of stuff, one of the companies that I love that focuses on this thing is a company called Cuckoo's Nest. They're out of London. And what they've done is they've combined that WeWork ethos of having workspace for people with a nursery and that childcare component, particularly for younger kids, that I think is a really great idea. Right, Sean?
Yeah. When you look at if you look at the symptom versus the underlying causes of this, we're looking at the support systems to enable particularly women to get back to work, because the female population has just been devastated with having to stay at home, and we're going to miss the boat if we do not have a balanced workforce. So the notion of dealing with the underlying cause, which is the cost of childcare, and also the distance to travel to that, if we can just adapt and change like Cuckoo and say, we got lots of room in hotels, we got lots of room around the corner, even if it's a supplemental portion of somebody's salary or it's an offering, it's a competitive advantage. But when you've got happy workers that know that their kids are safe, you've got engaged workers.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back full loop to what you were, both saying. And I think Cuckoo is a good example of that combination of just being practical about this.
Yeah. And wanting to do it, not having.
Yeah, I agree completely with you. You got to want to do it.
Right. And we're kind of looking at that in one of the hotels because we're having problems, and we're saying, well, let's see if childcare, if we pay for childcare or we do it on site, does that improve? If you go back to Delta, right? And you look at what Delta did during the pandemic, okay? Mm-hmm. They did have some childcare. They did, I believe they paid for childcare in some instances. They gave their workers, even before the pandemic, share the profits. They kept the middle seat empty. That helps not only the guests, but that helps the employees that are working there. They treated their employees like business partners, not like, well, you're lucky to have a job. So they did it well. So now a lot of my friends that used to be on the other lands are going to Delta. I am loyal before, I'm loyal now. It's because they put their employees first. They didn't put their guests first. When you put your guest first, you put your employee second. You always put your employee first. And then your employee, if you put your employee first, they're going to make sure that their guest is taken care of. And it's just good business. So again, you and I have the same philosophies. I have just been in a position where I've tried to pull people up instead of getting out of the way that people are knocking me down, because they have the answers. They have the want. They want to take care of the employees. They want to take care of housekeepers. You go into a housekeeping department, you see the director of housekeeping celebrating birthdays, doing exercise in the morning, not buying donuts, but buying healthy snacks for people. And you go in there and you almost feel like you're intrusive. You're intruding because it's their own little family, their own little party. That's how businesses go through these kind of challenges. But again, to your point, you're right. Well, I want to work from home. If I'm a female executive, I want to work from home. I am. But by and large, you're right. More female executives may be working from home because, unfortunately, they're the ones that everybody looks for childcare and for helping with schools.
So, guys, we happen to have a female executive backstage who is going to join us for the next segment. But
I want to know why Sean stopped yelling at me. All of a sudden he calmed down and stopped challenging me. I want to know.
No, I mean, I did what I was asked to do, and then the floor is yours.
No, I don't like that. Like, you get me all revved up and you put me back to neutral. And he keeps his arms down. You can see he's physically trying to not react. He's saying to himself, stay calm. Don't talk to him. Don't interrupt him. Don't yell at him. I can actually see that happening. And I'm not enjoying it.
All right. Well, that is unfortunate, Anthony. But all right, let's bring in Amrita Nichols, great female executive over there, and she's with that Conference Direct. And we were going to talk a little bit about meeting planners and what they're thinking. But before we get to that, we're still talking about adapters with Seanwerker over here. Amrita, what do you think about this conversation that you've been hearing backstage as a professional, but maybe also as a potential parent and female executive?
So actually, professional, I've worked around the globe, you name it. I've worked in many continents. And this I have noticed in every continent, hospitality. I worked for Marriott, Starwood, Hilton, Oberoi's in India. If you're familiar with that brand, it's very luxury. I've opened the first Marriott in India. So my question for you, Anthony, is, and I've been thinking about this for a few days because I now plan meetings. I'm on the other side. I no longer work for a hotel. So if I see cost rising. Are people planning to, because, with labor increase, the owners are not willing to take a pay cut or a cut in their profits. Let's face it. So where is this money going to come from? Because I do see for meetings, I do see my cost rising, but my clients don't have the budget. So people don't.
I'll give you two examples. Right, one, there's a convention center in Long Beach, California. They basically introduced the entire system of everything from electronics to drapery into the price. So you go into the Long Beach facility and they have everything built in. So you're paying one low cost and they're competing against the A locations, and they're doing a great job, and they're saving clients a lot of money. So they're adapting to the higher cost for groups, and they're basically they're not upcharging. So they're getting these clients that would go to Vegas, LA, and New York, and they're getting to Long Beach. Number one. Number two, when you talk to the brands, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the Hyatts, you talk to the executives, and I asked them, so are you referral? Are you coming back? And they're like, nope. So the executives at Hyatt and all Marriott and all the other brands, a big percentage are not coming back. So you have to do less with more. Okay, more with less. More with less. And so because we live in a capitalist society, businesses solve these problems. For the last 100, 200 years, we have solved these problems. That's why this is a great country. To answer your question with a blanket statement, I couldn't do it. All I can tell you, the Adapter's book, read it. It tells you how to adapt.
Well, nice plan. I will. But going back to, yes, Hilton introduced the keyless entry a couple of years ago, where you could just use your phone. So did Marriott. You have the app, but that means less people. So on the lower level, you are looking at less labor, and so. Again,
they're adapting. Same thing. Like, look at the whole don't wash towels and don't wash linen because you want to save the environment. That was a bunch of crap. They just wanted to save costs. Now look at, like, we want to keep you safe, so we don't want to come into your room to turn down your room or to clean your room. That's a bunch of crap to try and save labor. So businesses figure it out, and that's all I'm saying. So you can't keep increasing pricing, especially in the hotel business. Pricing is, right now you go to Florida and you're paying prices you've never seen before. That's only going to last for a certain period of time, right? As other markets open up, New York opens up, Europe opens up, those prices are going to go back. So people adapt, but this is where I agree with Sean. I agree with everyone, but to me is really where, if I've made a career, on one thing, it's this: I hire people who I have to slow down. And too many businesses have people that they have to push, people that are mediocre, people that are good instead of great. And because they're paying them lower wages, they accept more crap from employees. I want high performers that bother me all the time, that ask for things, that challenge me, and that are highly compensated. Because I know when crap hits the fan, they're going to push me out of the way and say, boss, I got it. And that, to me, is the problem with most businesses. Most businesses have too many mediocre executives in too many positions. That's my opinion. And if you look at the brands that are really, and I don't want to use any one brand or two brands because some of those brands are controversial, but if you look at those people that have survived and have really done well, those are the people that put in the work and challenge themselves, and where other people dropped off. It's like not everybody's a Navy SEAL. When I run a business, I want all Navy SEALs.
To your point, though, I think there's a couple of shifts when you look at this. This is as we are right in the middle of a storm, and it's rough. That being said, this is the first time that en masse, the TTH world, travel, tourism, and hospitality, they've got to compete for labor on a mass playing field. It's going to do us the world of good. Is it going to be very painful for the next 18 months? Yes, it is. But we're going to have to go and win new types of talent to come to this space for all the right reasons. We are social. We have a good time. We do the stand-ups, and we got to produce. And good people do good things together, and we need to mix it up a little bit. And this is a once in a generation opportunity to attract people from technology, from companies like Amazon and others that are good service leaders, and they want to come to a great service culture and be rewarded for that. However, the underlying enticements have to be there. And yeah, there's going to be inflation. Lumber prices, to jump off a different end, they're going up. So is everything. The cost of holding an event. We just did a show on events, and the event business is in turmoil as to what you're going to offer. How is it going to be hybrid? What technologies you use? The opportunity for conferences to expand their capacity, not just an event hall, but the others that are around it. So that's a huge opportunity to drive costs down, to your point, Anthony, and to your point, Amrita, is you're expanding your capacity. So your actual unit cost for an attendee or a conferee is going down. Pay your people right and attract great people to put on great events or run a hotel regardless of the category. And that's a big opportunity for us. And that, going back to your point earlier, Anthony, mindset. This is a mindset shift as well as a capital shift.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a gentleman I just interviewed for a GM position, and he has less qualities than almost 90% of people I actually more. He was less qualified than everybody I interviewed. And there was one reason I hired him, because while he was in the military, he was attached to security for Air Force One. That's it. That's the reason I hired him. Not because of his hotel, because you have to be the top 1% to get on that detail. Because I was in the Air Force, I know that. Okay. So that was the only reason I hired him. And everybody's like, are you sure? And then they started interviewing him. I said, what do you think? So, oh my God, he's great. But he doesn't have the experience to be the general manager. But he was able to go into a 1% job. And that's why we hired him. And he has some experience, but that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. And you don't have to be military. It could be a high school student that's coming out, and I look at her resume. She's in college, and I see that in high school she was cleaning rooms. I may make her a supervisor right out of high school simply because she was cleaning rooms in high school. Any person that's cleaning rooms in high school is a person that's going to work hard, understands what we're looking for. So right now, this is what I'm afraid of, and I don't know how you fix this. And this is the long-term effect, is where we need people. And we're going to hire maybe good executives, but we're going to hire people in our restaurants, in our bars, in our housekeeping department that aren't the highest quality people that want to grow in our business. And that's where we're going to get hurt. And I see it. I've seen it so quick in the last 30 days, because this is the first time everybody's talking about this revolution. Well, why did the revolution happen? Okay, not only technology, because we're all hiring at the same time, right? And the economy came back too fast. The economy's at 90% of what it was. Who
would have thought, right?
So it all came back too quickly. So if we react to that incorrectly, to your point, Sean, we're going to have long-term effects for many, 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 many years. I think you have to take it a little bit. You got to slow down a little bit, close your restaurant a little bit earlier, close for one day, maybe do things that are going to hurt you short-term. But in the long term, you're gonna keep your brand strong.
Sean, one of your philosophies is slow down to go quick. I feel that this fits in right here.
Yeah, slow down to speed up. I don't know if whether you're running or you're taking a corner in a fast car. Sometimes the best laps are the ones that look slow because it's smooth. And, taking a breather is something that I think a lot of us don't do. I think, when we were looking at even ghost kitchens, Glenn,
You can find that story right now at theadapters.net, where we evaluate that particular adaptation and trend. Go on, Sean.
When you look at slowing down to speed up, and the conference market and the event market is a good example of that, is saying, how do we adjust? And, you look at good leaders slow down so they can see what's in front of them, but also looking at what happened behind and being able to just slow down and take the curve smoothly. And we're right now in a massive NASCAR ring, and we're just going around at speed and hugging a wall. And so slowing that down to find the right people, but also have a plan. What are you going to do? This shortage isn't going away anytime soon. And what is your turnover going to be? Because there's still going to be competition for talent that's trained. So what happens 6 months from now? You hire somebody, you train them, they've got great fit, they've got great capability, they're going to get hired away. So I think we're in a, certainly talking around these different industries we've been meeting with and talking to. Some are doing it really well and have a plan, and others are, I just got to offer a Dallas. There's restaurants in Dallas that are offering $1,000 for servers, bartenders, just to get hired. That's a Band-Aid.
Yep.
Great. They get the $1,000. 90 days later, somebody else offers $1,000, and then we're off again. How do we make this a sustainable as managers? And I love that you keep bringing up about GMs. I would also say the supervisors, the people that are managing small teams, the platoon leaders, finding them and investing in them so that they co-opt and extend the culture. Great top down, but bottom up is great. I mean, you use the military analogies a great deal about slowing down to speed up, and SEALs and Green Berets. I was with a separate group with HOCA, so they're doing a resilience series. And one of the interviews that Jonathan Humphreys and others did was with a senior military guy. And one of the traits they're looking for a SEAL team and others is those that can laugh through bad situations in the training, having a laugh when you're down and out, you're getting shot at, and it's pretty ugly, and you're still joking. I think if we find the leaders that can actually put a smile on people's face when things are tough, we have less people, we're using technology, customers are stressed, everybody is stressed coming back, we're going to find some great people. So maybe it's a different form of interviewing, Anthony. How can we ask that better question to find out how people are really internalizing these problems in a different way?
Right.
Perhaps
So
I'm going to get you to a different floor.
So let me jump in right now and throw it over to Amrita over there, because Amrita, we're talking about a lot of things. How are you seeing this in the context of what's going on with the meetings business and meeting planners and all of that?
Great question, because my clients are dealing with a lot of anxiety. Our customers are about planning meetings. It's not, you can no longer enforce force majeure.
Right.
Whatever you do now, it's a business decision. So you have to follow through with what you're signing. Business is very short term right now, smaller in size, but it's hard to gauge mindset. And especially with domestic travel, which has been changing so rapidly, it's hard to gauge what, today someone is hesitant, but day after, because their neighbor is ready to go out,
that's right,
they are willing to go out. So the meeting industry is changing very rapidly, which I'm happy to see. We Q3 of this year and Q4 is a lot of small meetings I'm working on. This largest is 375, but 2022 is going to be different.
Yep.
And
what do you? If I can ask you a question, Rita, what are you seeing from the event planners that you're working with as being their top 2 or 3 concerns? They said these have got to work.
So we talk about hybrid. A company like Apple and IBM, they can afford it. But my smaller companies and associations, they don't have the budget to offer the kind of just not staff and production in the breakout rooms. So that's a big cost to concern to my clients. What can we do to give people the comfort of knowing that they are safe and they can travel in a meeting, even though that same person has been going on vacations somewhere else.
Mhm.
That's one. Another thing, which is borders are still closed. A lot of the larger conventions attracted people around the globe. And as you may have seen, Europe is allowing travel, but UK and US has still not opened up.
Right.
The borders are still closed. Canada had a lot of business travel in from Canada to US and vice versa. That's still closed. And we don't know. The uncertainty is still there. Again, another wave happening. Yes, we are vaccinated, but will that change because we now may need a booster shot in September? So how is fall going to look like is still a big concern in people's mind. And while states like Florida and Texas have opened up, I'm in Massachusetts and we are ready to do business March 29th, no restrictions. A lot of people are concerned, is it too fast, too soon? I don't know. So all these things, the uncertainty is what is keeping meeting planners awake.
Right. So let me give everybody a little bit of good news. We were talking about the TSA, and actually on the 23rd in 2019, 2,070,000 people traveled through TSA checkpoint. Yes, the day before yesterday it was 1.863 million. Wow. So we're just about 200,000 off on that day. Yesterday it was a little bit more of a difference, 2.5 to 1.75. So it's getting closer, which is great. And this is without these mega events happening throughout the entire country.
Well, I think it's the leisure market, people being able to be home, people having their kids home, and they're being able to work from wherever they want to go. The pent-up demand of the leisure travel, I think, is taking. When you look at Vegas and they're having some of the best months of their history, that's all leisure. That a lot of that is leisure. There's not a lot of conventions going on, some, but not a lot. So I think that's taken up a good percentage, but that's going to drop off. So the question is the corporate going to start picking up in September, October, November as the leisure drops off? And are you going to be able to kind of replace that? And who knows? And that's a good question about the booster shot, because the people that were diligent about getting the shot are going to get the booster shot. But the people that had to be begged into getting the shot because they had to go back to school or they had to go whatever, they may not, sign up for the booster shot.
Right. And guys, remember, we're still, as of today, as this is going live, we're supposed to hit 50% of adult Americans having both shots. So we're still a ways to go. We're on the way. Amrita?
If it helps, just before this call, I was on a virtual site visit with a extremely upscale luxury resort in California. The same client canceled their incentive program for 2021 and 2022. Well, they had to because it was in Mallorca and Spain.
Right. Yeah.
So, but they are going to have those two again. Okay. Last month, I signed a contract for 10,000 people at Caesars. 3 different hotels, part of Caesars.
In Vegas or Atlantic City?
Vegas. Mm-hmm. Vegas for in July of 2022.
Right.
So those are taking place. I am seeing a lot of contracts which were signed, passed, and rebooked to fall of this year. Internal leadership meeting for 350 people. Drivable, because they're internal, it's easier to mandate, taking place. I am seeing new requests for smaller leadership meeting for 130 people coming up. I'm sending out RFPs for smaller meetings almost every day, definitely every week. I right now have 12 active RFPs. So, it is picking up. If not, I wouldn't be doing this. And there is definitely a light at the end of our tunnel, and we are seeing it right now. So yes, we are going to the larger meetings. I have a meeting with a client next week. They had canceled their 2021 700 people event in Boston. And now we are talking about hosting it in 2022. So by then we will have seen the fall, lived through 2021, and definitely Newbury Hotel is just opened 2 weeks ago in Boston. Mm-hmm. The Omni Seaport which will have the largest ballroom in Boston, is scheduled to open on September 1st. And their largest group is going to arrive on September 15th. So yes, the numbers are right for this year. The citywide conventions will see a drop in number, but we will definitely see more of these events happening. So yes, there is good news.
And also, Amrita, speaking of Boston, Langham Boston, they just announced that they are taking reservations again and opening up in a few weeks. So I'm excited about Boston getting back to it.
Amrita, can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to freak out Anthony because I ask questions. So just in case, he's looking well there.
So what's your question?
So is just a question about, what are you seeing from your clients, not from your association side or those clients, but when you're soliciting venues, are you seeing them do anything different technically, or how are they changing and adapting?
So, we are asking questions about what if, we are putting clauses in the contract, asking that at the RFP stage, if we had to adhere to CDC guidelines, etc. Also, what is the new? Hotels were clean before, but, the sanitization aspect, is there going to be more hand sanitizer? What is the new F&B guidelines? What are the changes they've made? We are asking that at the RFP stage, just so we can pass it on to the client and say, look, this hotel has made these changes. They have updated their HVAC. When was it done? And going back with that information, just because we know that this is the client may not think about it, but we are asking it on their behalf, being a little more, or we've always been proactive. So being proactive and asking these questions just to give them peace of mind.
Are they doing anything, because you kind of expect them to do that? That's right. The table stakes. But are they doing anything that comes back and says, we got a completely different way to check in? We've got different amenities. We've added in, Apple, puck in the room, anything beyond what they should be doing anyway?
Well, to go back to what Anthony said, yes, a lot of the things they have said, as in, okay, less cleaning in my room because it's saving staffing. Let's be honest here. Yes, he's right. But hotels are saying that, and we go back and say, okay, so what if we expect it? Mm-hmm. We are expecting it. Yes, but I didn't spend $300. Some of them said, okay, you don't change your sheets daily. Well, I'm not spending $300 for my room rate daily at home either.
Right.
So when am I going to get back the amenities while I'm traveling and leaving my family behind and traveling? So right. Yes, we are asking those questions, and hotels are coming back saying, if your group needs it, we'll give it. Yes, my group needs it, and I want it. So just ask those questions to the planner, be proactive, look out, add those clauses in your contract to protect your group. Look at different, before we always looked at meetings at force majeure clauses for the group arriving 15 days in advance. No, we need to look at it arriving from not about 2 months in advance, because that's when the traveler is planning their travel, booking their ticket. So right. Let's look for those clauses in force majeure. And if anyone requires them, I have them.
Right. Amrita, we got a good question from Peter Zende. I'm gonna guess is his name, Peter. If I messed that up, I'm sorry. If I got it right, yay. We're grooming future event planning leaders. What are the required competencies and skills after COVID? Are they really going to be very different at all?
I'm going to say no. Mm-hmm. Be more knowledgeable about technology, because that has changed. The requirements for that has changed. So be more aware of what, travel will look like. Look at data constantly. One thing which has kept me busy is staying updated on what is happening in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Look at data, see what is happening, make changes, and go back to the hotel with those questions. But no, our business we are not saving lives here. It's not rocket science.
Right.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another question from our friend Michael. Are you having trouble reaching salespeople, and are hotels adequately staffed for small and mid-sized meetings?
So today, this is not meetings, but I have a colleague who is looking at a very big hotel, new hotel, I'm not going to name it, in Denver, reach out and say that I need for production in October for my, not citywide, but 1,000+ people meeting. And the company came back, it's a trade show company, came back and said, we don't have staff. But this is the in-house production company. We cannot do a proposal. We don't have staff. Yes, I'm hearing that, but ConferenceDirect, we booked over 870 million pre-COVID in 2019. So our sales force has still stayed there. So my GSOs are very key to my relationship. I reach out to them. I copy them on every RFP, and I copy my CVBs. And they are giving me updates. Yes, you've sent it to this hotel, add this one too, but guess what? That may be closed. You know, the conference center next door may be closed, or things like that. So make sure you're reaching out to your GSOs. Make sure you're reaching out to your CVBs. They are key partners for you.
Great. Anthony, got anything?
No, Sean's in charge.
All right, guys, we're going to start wrapping up today in just a minute or two. I want to give everyone a final thought. But speaking about adapting and innovating, we've got a great guest coming on next week. I'm not going to reveal which day it is, but it's a guy named Dan McCoy, who's the Chief Innovation Officer at the TSA. So we're going to be learning about what they're adapting to and how they're innovating to make travel really cool in the future, or at least process of going through security, really.
I think they should say hello, good morning, how are you? Let's start with that.
I love that. So, Sean, how about some final thoughts from you about where we are, I think, as a society with our ability to adapt and reinvent ourselves?
Don't be fearful. Just try it. It's amazing what happens when you try it. I echo the conversation here, which is also find better ways to do the same thing and then build on that. Mm-hmm. And then finally, get involved in your community. Hotels, convention bureaus are all part of a community, and think about what is going around that, what retail looks like, what stores are emptying out, what businesses are emptying out, so that general managers and others that are running hotels that kind of have an angle on how occupancy levels are and whether their community is growing or shrinking, and help. Open your door, open your arms, and help.
Beautiful. And Sean, how can we find you in this book that I might have heard of?
Well, our book is available on all major channels, including Amazon.com and thousands of other bookstores. So that's one. Two, Anthony is also featured in there, and he's got a great picture. So you should actually read his part of the Gutsy Genius Thinkers. You can find it on the adapters.net. And when you buy the book, you can hyperlink to the adapters.net and listen to all the interviews, including Anthony's and 22 others live as they were, and unedited. So the raw versions of really smart people.
Yeah, get a whole lot more contact. Sean, thank you so much. We'll see you back here next time on No Vacancy Live. I appreciate you. All right. See you later. All right. So, Amrita, how about you? Before I ask you for your final thoughts, I actually got one more question for you. Do meeting planners still care about sustainability today?
Yes, we do.
All right, good. That's what Anthony's been saying, but I wanted to confirm that. How so? Why? What's going on?
The problem in this world has been because we didn't care enough about Mother Earth. So it's time to, continue with the changes and keeping those in focus.
Yeah, and listen, to be honest with you, it's on most corporations' checklist when they do an RFP. So, people want to help, but at the end of the day, corporations are like, okay, our lawyer said we have to have that in the RFP. So check. So you have to have it.
All right, so
I have it in my, the green meetings rating, etc. Each hotel, every time I send it out, it's there in the RFP.
Michael Weinberg says, what about those hotels and brands that put in bulk dispensers of body wash and shampoo on the wall in the shower instead of individual bottles? He doesn't like that idea. I happen to be fine with the idea in general. I think it's helpful. But the one thing that really pisses me off is that they have little spouts that are like this long. So your hands are always banging up against the bottle. Why can't they add an extra inch or so to it and make it a more pleasant experience over there? I don't.
Great point. But you know what? I don't know about Anthony's shampoo and conditioner situation. I carry my own.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for that. Thanks for taking a crack at me. I still use shampoo, believe it or not. But listen, Michael, electric cars are here to stay, and so are these dispensers. For as long as there's a lock on the dispenser, what brand just went to it? Marriott, I think, right? Every single one of their hotels are having the bigger dispensers. I think it's such a waste of time and effort for not only the environment it's terrible for, but also for the housekeepers. I mean, there's just so much stock and there's just so much back and forth that at first the dispensers were like, oh, that's low rent brands. But then when the major premium brands went to it, it's here to stay. And you're only going to see the little toiletries in the very high end 5-star hotels going forward. And those are eventually going to go away as well. I think in 5 to 10 years, you're not even going to know what a little bottle looks like. It's like a rotary phone, right? You see on TikTok when people are asking their kids to try to make a phone call on a rotary phone, it's hysterical. They can't do it. Right. When you hand them a little bottle in 10 years, they're like, what do I do with this?
I agree. You know what? This is going to be part of the change. Accept it, because guess what? It's here to stay.
Or bring your own, Michael, and stop complaining. All right, buddy?
Yeah, I still miss on being able to add matchbooks to my matchbook collection from the 1970s over there. Michael says, but people are dirty. But Michael, you're in the shower.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, stay home. People are dirty. You go to movie theaters, you go to restaurants, you go in Ubers. People are dirty. People are disgusting. The healthiest we've ever been is during the pandemic. As long as you didn't get COVID, the flu didn't exist. So I've been saying it over and over and over again. When I go back to play poker in Vegas and they take down the mask mandate and the plastic, I'm going to be upset. I liked it, man. No more disgusting people sitting next to me.
So I will tell you, what I used to do when I traveled, I did collect them. And when I returned, I donated it to my local food pantry. So I think that's where it'll miss.
Yeah. Well, that's very nice of you. Glenn's just not that caring.
I know. I'm a horrible person, but that's all right. I got Anthony to remind me that every single day here on No Vacancy Live at noontime Eastern. Amrita, how could we find you? How can we learn more about what you're doing over at ConferenceDirect? Absolutely.
You can contact me at amrita.nichols@conferencedirect.com. My telephone number is 978-443-2935. Call me. And my LinkedIn, I'm there. I'm the only Amrita Nichols, because not every Nichols is not a very popular last name in India.
No. Hey, at least it's not Patel, so you got that.
Mercuri's not popular in India either, believe it or not.
Really?
Mercury, that last name is not popular in India.
Haussman's actually the third most popular surname in India.
I'd like to ask you a question about. We're going to have hopefully Long Beach Convention Center on. Have you used Long Beach? And what do you think about that convention center?
I have sent them an RFP. It's a great walking. The convention. They have great. They have made a lot of technology changes, and it's very walkable. So again, very green. So yes, I am familiar. I've joined several of their calls during the pandemic. They've done a lot to keep us updated. So it's a great little convention center, easily accessible from LAX. They have their own airport, but if you want a large airport, international, it's there too.
I walked through it a couple of weeks ago, and I was blown away because the leadership there are all high-end hoteliers. And what they've done there is really taken away a lot of the expense to the conventioneer. I think it's fantastic, and I may or may not be opening a hotel close to that. So I'm
emphasis on may.
we were no, but I was talking to a client of mine, and this is some good feedback for you, Anthony. Is they are booked into big cities. They were supposed to have their program in April of 2020. 2021. So they want to step away from larger cities. They want to go into tier 2 cities like Long Beach or Puerto Rico because it's not that crowded. The hotels, you are more spread horizontally.
And it's walkable.
Correct, vertically. So people prefer that now. Elevators, you don't have to take a lot of elevators. You can take the stairs up. So the buildings are not tall, but flat and bigger. So yes, the Long Beach is a great investment.
Great.
Yeah. Amrita, thank you so much. We're definitely going to have you back as things start to pick up again in here. I think.
Love that.
Yeah, we'll have you back when Sean's not taking all the airtime.
Yeah, for sure. That was not what we intended for you today. So we will get you back. Thank you, Amrita.
Thank you.
Take care.
Don't bring him back. But is Sean still in the back?
No, he's not.
I want to make fun of him.
I know. I will make sure he gets a clip.
I don't know if you noticed, but for like 5 minutes, I was just staring at him.
Oh, I know.
Smiling, and I was trying to make him think I was angry.
Oh, yeah.
You could see he got uncomfortable.
Look, man, I was getting uncomfortable, and I know what your games are. So
no, I love Sean, and Sean, yeah. I listen, but don't like start really good, challenging, arguments, and then walk away from it.
Well, that's really what's really fun is that you guys, you can get into it and you can have real.
We weren't really arguing; we were just having a heated discussion.
I'm saying you can have disagreements and be civil about it and really move that discourse forward.
This is what I say: go find college students, go find military, go find A performers. Mm-hmm. We spend more time complaining and we spend more time, giving out $1,000 bonuses instead of spending the time to go find. You know how many people getting out of the military that would love a great job in the hospitality industry? Right. How many people that getting out of college or getting out of high school, let's say maybe I can't afford college, that would love the opportunity to be groomed. So we're spending so much time on retreads and mediocrity instead of going to find really, really great talent. Or go find a retiree that used to run a business that wants to just do, I just came from a hotel and the gentleman that's in charge of the valet, I guess he's a retiree. He runs the valet for this hotel. And I actually bought him a cappuccino because he was so nice to me. And he was talkative and he knows the area. And you can tell he's doing this just because he wants to get out of the house. But he's an absolute great contributor to this hotel. So, you gotta go find the talent and everybody. And listen, it's difficult. It's not easy, but right. there are ways to do it. And, we just got to get through it.
Yeah. Another way to do that is to go and check out our show from last week with Amrita Nichols of Gecko Hospitality. They do recruiting and they will explain to you why it is so important, just like Anthony was saying. Help you get those right people in there. Anthony, any final thoughts before we get out of here today?
I love you.
I love you too, man. I hope you had a happy birthday yesterday.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, I've got to add, because I don't want to get in trouble, check our audio-only version of the show. Find it on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, of course, and wherever you like to get your podcasts. And connect with Anthony and myself via social media. He's at Anthony Hotels. I am at Traveling Glenn. So remember, everybody, you've only got one life, so blaze on, and
be kind to yourself.
See y'all tomorrow.
You're losing weight, Glenn.